Welcome to a football show, Thursday edition. That is Nick Suss of the Tennessee, and I'm Braden Gall. We are brought to you by Sinkers Beverages here on the 440 Sports Network, award-winning liquor store that is perfect for all your holiday needs, except for like a spouse. Nick, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm all right. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to having me on the show, Braden.
It's not like a Sinkers Beverages is not like you don't get the gift for the spouse there, like or for a parent or for a loved one. You get like a bunch of extra gifts that that stuff stockings and add value to the real gift that you got somebody, because they have tons of awesome stuff. They've got great bourbon, they've got great beer, they've got non-alc options, they've got THC options, they've got great wine, champagne, incredible expertise, award-winning everything, and a lot of stocking stuff for like cocktail books or recipes or barware, little things that make a Christmas a little bit better for the people in your life, or a Hanukkah, or the Festivus for the rest of us, the Feats of Strength, whatever it is you may celebrate, the airing of grievances. We do appreciate it. We do appreciate the holiday season and hope you have a great one, whatever it is you celebrate. Well, today on the show, we'll obviously get into the Taylor Swift bachelorette party that's showing up in town at Nissan Stadium on Sunday. Sans Patrick Mahomes, of course. Can the offense continue to show progress that it has shown the last couple of weeks? We'll get into that. We'll talk a little college football playoff picks at the end, as there are three interesting football games coming up this weekend in the college football ranks. And we'll discuss some of the draft stuff, too. I know there's a mock draft up on the Tennessean, a most recent one. We can discuss sort of the strategy behind where the Tennessean had the Titans taking players, how they had them taking players, and maybe look at the 2025 draft class now that all of the secondary is on IR. We can kind of look a little bit at a grade for the draft class, which of course ties into our main topic, which is the number one pick in the draft having a say potentially in some form or fashion around the Titans coaching search. So that is where we will start. Nick, if you want to get into the comment section, please do so. Please share the show. We are live on Thursdays most weeks at 9 a.m. That will change a little bit over the course of the next couple of weeks with the holiday season next week and then the New Year's celebration the following week. So we'll just stay tuned for that in terms of the scheduling. Follow us on the socials as well. And if you want to get in, ask some questions, we'd love to have you. So please do so in the comment section on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, etc. Nick, I believe that you have to be able to articulate in common decency around debates and discussions. I think you have to be able to articulate the other person's point and what they mean before you should be like allowed to make your own point in some degree. Like, how can two people have a legitimate intellectual discussion if they do not fully understand the other person's perspective? And so I know that's like a totally antiquated way to look at human discourse considering 2025, but I want to fully understand. I want everyone listening to fully understand Cam Ward's perspective on this before we have a conversation around whether or not a rookie quarterback who may or may not be the future of the franchise should have some semblance of say in the Titans coaching search. So what is his perspective, as you understand it, around his involvement in the Titans head coaching search?
Let's just start. I will read you unabridged his 3 quotes on the matter. This is not as I understand it. These are direct quotes. First, he was asked if it is difficult to wait for the coach, the patience part. His quote was, "It's not difficult. I think the coach who's going to come in and have the interview process with the couple of coaches that'll interview, I think they'll come in with the right attitude that we want to win." Generic enough.
Okay.
The second question was, do you want to be involved in the process? His answer was, I want to meet all of them. Every coach who's going to get the opportunity to come here, I want to meet them, have conversations throughout the whole process with them. That's someone I'm going to be here with throughout that time. We've got to continue to me being around and be open to whoever we're trying to hire, because I know at the end of the day, who we hire is going to be the right fit for us, whether it's a defensive person or an offensive person. They're going to make sure that every person is in the right place and every person is set up for success.
Man, giving the Titans organization a lot of credit there.
And then the final follow-up, have you expressed this perspective to Mike and Chad? Quote, yeah, I've had conversations with them about wanting to be involved. They know how much I want to be involved. especially just not even the scheme part of it, but as the head coach, who he is on an everyday basis. Then being able to get into the scheme, what I know I'm good at, what I want to do, what he thinks will also help me. So that's where we're starting from.
Yep.
That is Cam's perspective. Before we move on, your thoughts.
I think it if you just skip to the last one without all the buildup and the context, I think you can take it a little bit out of context, which I assume the internet has done. I don't read the internet much on socials anymore, but I assume that it's easy to sort of to read a clip of that last quote and have a headline read rookie quarterback wants to take control of coaching search, right? You go all the way to the end of it, what it could possibly mean, and that's clearly not what it means. I think, and again, I don't want to guess at what he's saying. I think it is totally reasonable and completely rational to want to be a part of the conversation, and certainly to meet these people, to see what it is like to talk with them. I think that is absolutely, all of that sounds totally fair to me, and I think it's the right progression of takes from him, right? It's the right direction as you get pressed on an issue, and then you get to the point where you're saying, yeah, I would love to be involved, and they know that I want to be involved. I think I don't want to get to should I pause there?
Go for it.
There's a giant I don't know how much he should be involved. I think he should, but I don't know how much, and that's what I'm trying to figure out in my own head, is how much is the right much, if that makes sense.
I don't think he should be involved in the first round of interviews. I don't think he should be involved in the initial, you've got 12 candidates or whatever. Once it's winnowed down, I think it's important to get him and Jeff and some of the brain trust of the players to kind of give what the locker room's perspective would be on this guy's personality. I've said this for a while now. I think one of the major keys to hiring this next coach will be understanding how the coach will be able to win over a locker room that has undergone a lot of stylistic change in the last few years. And I understand that a lot of the players who are here might not be here next year. But the core group of guys who will be, and the core group of guys who will be instrumental in convincing their teammates to give the coach a shot, I think they do need to be looped in at the very least of, yeah, we buy what this guy is selling. Because if you bring in a coach and immediately the players are like, I don't get it, it's an uphill battle. The coach shouldn't have to win people over after he's been hired.
Yeah. There's also a stress level that this locker room has endured the last couple of years. 3 years in a row now of high intensity cortisol, in the bloodstream. And I think you package that with the sort of to your point about turnover and stylistic changes. I think all of that leads to someone needing to stabilize, I think, is ultimately maybe the right word. So I agree. So I agree that if you've got 23 candidates, as you and I discussed on the show a couple of weeks ago, if you have 23 candidates, you don't need them sitting down with your sort of brain trust of the locker room, as it were, right? Whether that's Amani Hooker, I don't know who would be on that top tier, but Jeff Simmons, Cam Ward are the first two. Yeah. They're the inner circle, the division of powers, and then you've got probably 4 or 5 other players. I think Skoronski is probably on that list. I think Amani Hooker is probably on that list. I don't know who else belongs on the list because either they're very, very young or they're not going to be here. And so I think once you get down to I think there's probably a second round, which will be 6, maybe 7 names. Oh God, I can't. 4, maybe 5 names. And then there's maybe 2 finalists. I think that middle round is the round that you want the players chiming in on. Yeah. Because I think the last round, if it's between 2 or 3 people, the people who are going to lose their jobs and that they are specifically hired to make these decisions, that is the criteria with which you hired Mike Borgonzi, is to be able to make these decisions. That is his job, not any of the players' jobs.
Yeah.
So I think that the first round and the last round, I think the players don't need to be involved in the room and making the decision. Their input needs to be taken, and I think you win over those people by giving them a voice to be heard and say, I want to hear what you have to say about this. And if they all get to that round of 5, let's say there's 5 or 6 guys, and all the big names in the locker room that matter have met with all of them, and they're all like, that guy's tough to be with. you probably don't want to hire that guy.
Yeah.
Right? Even if he is the best candidate. Again, that can't be their decision. You just have to make them feel heard, take into account what they're saying, really use it. And so I do think Cam Ward is right to say that he wants to be involved. I think how much is still up to the Borgonzi. Mike Borgonzi has to, I feel like, eventually rule this decision on his own.
Yeah. And if locker room leadership works the way it is supposed to, which we have to acknowledge it might not. We don't know for sure how strong the leadership is. It's tough to say on a year in, year out basis. But if it's functioning the way it is supposed to, if the leaders buy in, the rest of the team follows suit. So the benefit of having the 3 to 5 most respected players in the locker room be involved is if they go to the locker room and say, I vouch for this guy. I'm here for this guy.
Yeah.
Then the other guy's minds should be made up of, I respect what Jeff says. I respect what Cam says, Amani, whoever you identify. So I'm going to give this guy a chance. That expedites the process, especially with how limited your exposure is to coaches in the off season before training regimens and stuff. If you have that from the beginning instead of having to wait until April and May, that is incredibly helpful.
Yep.
But I don't know. The part about, is this stressful? Is this weighing on people? I have to imagine it is. I'm not as close to the situation as these guys are. And I had a dream this morning about the Titans coaching search.
Well, you have a different type of stress attached to that information, though.
Sure. No,
like you are in competition with other reporters nationally and locally to potentially know who the coach is going to be first. And so that's Jim Wyatt Jim Wyatt famously in an interview with us said it was going to kill him trying to be the person breaking every single story first. And I know that's not necessarily your job, but like that is part of your job. And so I think that's different. And honestly, the stress around the coaching search was less what I was referring to more than the all of the different firings and hirings, all the noise that kind of bombards a locker room when it's dealing with a new GM and a new coach and a fired GM and like 3 straight really bad seasons, right? Like it's all the natural tension that exists in every corner of the building, right?
Yeah.
Is just it affects humans. You can't say that it doesn't. Here we go. Best Titan show out there. Great balance and chemistry. There we go.
Thank you.
But vitally important question. Whose Knight Rider ringer went off during Cam's press conference?
I am so glad that you left that comment, Ed, because I heard it and I couldn't place it. I knew what it was. I couldn't place it.
Oh, you're too young.
No. So I knew the sound, but I knew it from Too Many Cooks.
Oh, I would hear that sound and I would be with Ed. I'm old.
Yeah. If you guys ever saw the Adult Swim thing, Too Many Cooks, they interpolate that in there as well. It was one of the people operating a camera behind me.
Well, I know a lot of those folks. I'm like, it's not Corey Curtis because he just wouldn't have that cool of a ringtone.
So not the
but all the other ones are young. They're all young camera people. What are they?
Not the on air. Like
you're talking actual
operate the camera. Yeah.
That tracks. That tracks.
I don't know which one, so I don't want to say.
Well, it's an 80s drama, so I assume you have not seen it.
No, but again, I know Too Many Cooks pretty well. Also,
I'm really scared to ever go back and watch any of my favorite dramas as a kid. MacGyver, A-Team, Knight Rider are probably the big 3. Maybe this tells you how big of a nerd I am. I really liked Murder, She Wrote. So like all 4 of those shows, I don't know if any of them would hold up today.
I like how you have the taste of Patty and Selma Bouvier.
Look, Knight Rider, A-Team, MacGyver, come on. For a kid in the 80s, that's good stuff right there. And then Knight Rider was like the, it was cool. I like Knight Rider. I don't think I doubt it would hold up if I went back and watched it right now. Here's the thing. Look, here we go, Stoney. Murder, She Wrote goes hard. Don't you mess with Angela Lansbury, okay? All right. So the question is, and this is maybe a question that's not fair to the player in question or to either of us. So maybe it's the wrong topic, but do we trust Cam Ward's opinion on this?
I thought it was interesting, the order of operations on, I want to tell them what I know I'm good at. I want to tell them what I think I can do. I want to hear what they think can help me. And I know this wasn't like a well thought out, he'd been sitting here preparing that statement for a while, so it might not be that order.
But he's clearly been thinking about it.
But that instinct of the first thing I want to come across is here's what I do well. I am not inferring that that is a slight to the previous regime, but it does read to me like somebody who has spent a long time feeling like he's not doing what he does well. Again, maybe I'm reading it the wrong way. Maybe it is as simple as I just want to get in there and be like, here's what I can provide. Here is why I'm an asset. Here is why you should pick the Titans. I have these talents. But I wrote about this after the game on Sunday. I think the most telling thing that anybody has said about Cam Ward this entire season was Jeffrey Simmons saying, I know that Cam likes to do stuff that can get him a little bit in trouble. So instead of running toward him, I ran away from him because I know he likes to throw across his body and I know he likes to throw into traffic and I know he can make the throw because he's special. And that understanding of Cam, it's probably unsafe. You should not build the entire plane out of things that can make it crash.
You shouldn't make an entire offense out of throws across your body, across the defense. Famously, the one thing every broadcaster says, that's never what you're supposed to do.
But I do think it is a little bit insightful that after months and months and months of hearing, man, he's just got to put the ball where it needs to go. He's just got to process through his reads. He's got to take what the defense gives him. The first time somebody's like, man, I just know he wants to play ball, they score a touchdown. And yeah, it was a 1-yard play. It was not this like overwhelming genius play, but he did throw the ball from the 18-yard line off of his back foot on a snap that started at the 1-yard line. Oh. There was a lot of drifting and fading. And
like barely over the fingers.
Yeah.
And Jeff didn't have to jump too high to get it. Like it was a very good throw.
It was a gorgeous throw.
Very good throw.
And the play before it was a quick read and throw your ball, and that is doing it the right way. You can't only play improvisationally. Right. The play that set up the touchdown was gorgeous. Take what the defense gives you, read the coverage, see all that stuff. Right. But all of that's to say, if Cam's like, hey, I want to express what I know I do well, I do think that the next coach, if they are going to succeed as coach of the Tennessee Titans, they are going to need to do what Cam Ward does well. I believe it's 8 times this year he has failed to throw for 200 yards. That is not good enough for a number 1 pick who we were all sitting here like, oh, you think he throws for 35 as a rookie? You think he throws for 3,800 yards? How many yards? This guy might be the first Titans quarterback to hit 4,000. Is he pacing for 2,500 right now?
I think he's over 2,500.
Okay. It's just like these
3,200 yards, though, in an NFL season with 17 games is among the worst quarterbacks in the league that played the whole season.
Yeah. So I do think that if you want Cam to produce the way you expect him to, you do have to let him do what he likes.
I agree. But look, the greatest college coaches are the ones who adapt to their personnel. The problem in college is that personnel changes so much more frequently, and that was when you recruited players every 3 years or 4 years. Now it's every year you're changing your personnel. In the NFL, it should be a little different. There should be some evolution and adaptation from the players as well, and I think Cam has enough to work on that he can't just say to people, "This is how I play the game. Do what I want." And I don't think that's how his brain works. I don't think that's what he's doing. Team Ramrod says, this is weird because I had a dream that Nick was on an athletic football show today talking about the Titans. Look, that is the second best football show on your podcast app. Just want to point that out.
To clear it up, the thing I dreamed last night was that I heard a scoop that the Titans had interviewed 4 Goff coaches, and I had to figure out what the acronym Goff stood for. And
they're all in the Lions?
And I determined it stood for good old football. They interviewed 4 good old football coaches.
What's the other F? Or is it just one F? There's
just one F, GOF.
I immediately was like, how many assistants are the Titans interviewing from Detroit? 10 AC2 at ATL says Cam shouldn't even have a say on who caters Christmas dinner at the Titans facility. I am okay with people reacting that way in saying we don't know if this guy's the real answer. We don't know if he's a starting high-level NFL quarterback. We don't know what the future holds for him, and that it's not his job to pick coaches. That is not. So I understand the emotion behind that. I think to the other side of this, as Eddie points out, I think we've addressed this, having your quarterback at least meet the coach is probably good. I doubt if Brinker and Borgonzi want a guy and Ward doesn't, that I doubt they aren't going to hire someone that they are convicted about. I think that's ultimately the point. You can give the players as much input and voice as you want to make them feel like they have. But eventually you do have to make the call. If you think guy A is the best coach for the job, period, players come and go, unfortunately, and you've got to pick the best guy for the job. And maybe it's not the one that the players all endorse. Players don't always know what's best for them. Kids don't, like, people don't always know what's best for them. It's just kind of how it works.
Yeah.
Players vote on captains, says Clubhouse. There you go. Team Ramrod comes back. Also, does Mike McCoy increase? I don't know what the grammar here is saying. Increase his
change his
not for a meter.
Not,
I don't know what he's saying.
I think give a, maybe for a.
Hearing people openly talk about the next coach and not even acknowledging him as a possibility. Does maybe his, like, does he care less about doing the job because he is clearly not actually a candidate? Unfortunately, I think they're going to ceremonially interview him for that, almost for that exact reason. Yeah, Levis was a captain last year as well. In his first year, players usually choose the quarterback. I'm late. Did I miss Geek Corner? Says QC. Nope, there we go. I thought you said Goth. That would be a really interesting brand image for the Titans to have a Goth coach. That is true as well. It is, thank you, Stoney. It is important to have a head coach and a quarterback with the same attitude or the scheme match. I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I don't think it matters at all if they have the same attitude. You could have two totally different personality types. That's why I hate to break this to people who aren't. This is why marriages work. You don't want the same person. You don't want to marry the same person. You want to marry someone similar who has like interests as you, but is probably a complementary personality type, like just in general. I'm not saying that's exactly how it has to go, but am I wrong on that?
No, you're not wrong. I'm sorry. I'm ahead in the comments, and I'm
scrolling.
I'm formulating on Geek Corner stuff.
I also
disagree with these people.
Eddie, I also dream of goth coaches. Stoney, Titans hire. Okay. I didn't even read the comment before I threw it up there, Stoney. Come on, you guys. You're taking my trustworthiness for taking advantage of it. Passing yard numbers are down way across the league this year. That should be acknowledged. That is true. In fact, I would argue defense has been surging for the last few seasons, to be honest with you. That is true.
Yes,
Stoney,
but there is a difference between passing numbers being down and you still being the worst quarterback while passing numbers are down. So, like, yeah, the leader in yards per attempt this year is Sam Darnold at 8.8. That is down when sometimes we will have 9.5, 10 on yards per attempt. Cam's at 5.6, which is the worst among any qualified quarterback in the NFL. Among first-round picks since 2000, I believe that's the 6th or 7th worst among guys who had at least 10 starts. Yeah. So, yeah, numbers are down. But let's not ignore that while numbers are down, he's still at the bottom. We can't just blanket excuse it.
There's going to be a new video on Cam Ward's performance against the Niners from James Foster up on the YouTube page today. So he's got a whole film breakdown of Cam Ward. He put in there the numbers on target throws beyond 25 yards. He's like 26th out of 31. And that's not about drops. That's not about, coverages or receiver quality. That's just, is it an accurate throw beyond 25 yards? And he's like one of the worst quarterbacks in the league at that. Now that is his worst thing that he does. He does a lot of other things significantly better. So this is, Stoney, I'm teaching an important lesson here. Please read the comments first. No, I'm hosting a show here, Stoney. So I think I do want to talk to you. I want to ask you quickly about the Niners game, and then kind of that transitions us into the Chiefs situation here, which is like, I did see, is there anything else around the coaching search? I think we've kind of established this. Like, they need to be involved. They need to be made to feel involved. They shouldn't be making the ultimate final decision. And I'm not sure that I'm there yet on trusting Cam. I think eventually I will trust Cam because I think he will get to wherever he needs to go, physically or mentally. But I'm not sure I'm there yet on like, hey, we just got to have a great vibe, and he needs to do what I do well. Like, I know why that's the instinct. I'm not saying that's a bad instinct.
Yeah.
I'm just saying sometimes there's a division of power for a reason. And like, this is why I don't think coaches, like athletic directors, are qualified to hire head coaches in college football, not message boards.
Sure.
Like,
let's just put it this way. Let's just leave it at this. If Cam Ward fails, the next coach will not be here long enough to see the next quarterback.
Probably not.
So
probably not.
They do need to play nice. Like these coaches. Yeah. So I'm not saying Cam should have the ultimate say, but if Cam Ward fails, there is a really good shot that the Titans are in the market for a new coach, a new quarterback, and a new front office in 2028.
Well, and I think the other thing here is, and this will be impossible to know, but Mike Borgonzi spearheaded the selection process of Cam Ward. Mike Borgonzi is allowed to change his opinion. Mm-hmm. And we have no idea. He's never going to ever admit anything in public. But we don't know, in a moment of privacy, at the end of the season, after 17 games of data, is Mike Borgonzi still sold on Cam Ward being the future of the franchise? Even though his job might be tied to the stubbornness of sticking with him? And I'm not saying that's what he feels. I'm not saying that Cam's going to be bad or is going to be a bust or isn't going to be the quarterback or doesn't figure it out. I'm just saying we don't know what Mike Borgonzi actually thinks now that he's got a full season of data on the player he picked, number one. So we just don't know how committed he even is. I would assume very, but we don't know that. We can't just assume that. So, all right. So I saw the game slow down for Cam a little bit, it progressively over the last 2 weeks. It's kind of started maybe even in the second half of the Seahawks game. And again, that's a difficult situation because they're way behind. Same with the Niners. Niners pass rush is the worst, as we talked about. It's like the worst pass rush in the entire NFL. So like there should be more time for him to operate in theory, but it looked like he was going through progressions. I thought the scheme was smarter. The design run plays were excellent again, 2 weeks in a row. I thought the scheme was smarter in terms of running bootlegs and flood concepts to kind of give him easier layered reads. I thought he made most of the reads correct. I still think the receivers don't help him much, where a guy falls down here or runs the wrong route there or is easily covered here. And he still made some bad throws. He still missed Van Jefferson. He still almost threw 2 interceptions, where too much of the internet is blaming Van Jefferson for slowing down when Nick Holes said, I think 2 days ago, he wasn't even supposed to be a part of the route concept as a read. So still plenty of mistakes. But I thought the game looked a little bit slow. Like he looked a little bit more under control. And there's a whole hurry up and slow down thing, right? When you're an NFL quarterback. And I do feel like I'm seeing glimpses of that the last 2 weeks. Is that just because of the Niners, or do you actually are you seeing it too?
I am. I'm not necessarily seeing it from a output perspective. I'm seeing it from a pocket perspective. There was something Cam said yesterday that I thought was pretty interesting. I can't remember the direct quote. Let me see if I can find it. But it was something along the lines of, there's a difference between manipulating the pocket and feeling the pocket. He came into the league trying to control the pocket, trying to manipulate what's happening within it. And he's gotten better at instead reacting to what's happening around him so he can feel where he needs to go. It's less, I can trick this defensive end into doing something, or I can outmaneuver this defensive end. And it's more, I need to know his tendencies. I need to know how he's going to come at me so I can react when I need to. And that's what before he said it, that's what I didn't know I was feeling. And that is, now that he said it, what I have been feeling of. It feels less like Cam is trying to assert control and more like Cam is playing the game.
Comfortable inside of the chaos.
Yes.
To some degree. Some more coaching stuff here from the comments. Sorry, guys. That's changed. Derek says, I wonder if Amy would consider Josh McDaniels as head coach. There's already some tension between Josh and Braves. Josh McDaniels, I agree I agree with Cloud House here. If we hire Josh McDaniels as head coach, I'll jump off the top of new Nissan Stadium. I think that's how most people should feel about
just
that
let
hire.
me add, when we're talking about coaching trees, 2 prominent figures who Josh McDaniels has hired for offensive coordinator and quarterback coach jobs. Mike McCoy and Bo Hardigree.
God. Jason says, curious, is it common to have a wide receiver out in a route but not part of the progression? He is a live eligible receiver, and so they are all part of the play. But what Nick Holes said was that there are 3 direct reads. You shouldn't really ever get to that last one. Sometimes you have a route that is a clear out. So if you have a guy running a clear out and you have a 2-person flood, in the flat and intermediate, you're not ever supposed to throw it to the guy down the field. It doesn't mean you don't know that he's there. So that's I think more the point. It was also still a bad throw. Like literally on that play, everything is true. Like the other players didn't run great routes. None of them were actually open. Van Jefferson run a terrible route, and Cam Ward didn't make a good throw. Like it was all bad across the board.
If you want a stronger understanding, better than Braden and I can explain it, go find Kirk Cousins' press conference from yesterday. Go find him talking about the difference between progression reads and scheme reads and all that stuff. Yeah. It will do a better job of explaining it than Braden or I ever can.
It was very interesting. Basically, defenses were too hard when I was in the league when I started out, and then I had to change because they're muddying the picture before the snap, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so I don't know. It's one of those instincts you get when you're watching it and you're going like that. He feels a little bit more under control during that particular pass rush or on that particular rollout. One of the earliest throws was sort of a flood. I think it was one of the first snaps, which is a roll left where you have that 3 kind of flood level concept. You got a flat, intermediate, and deep shot. But a good footworked quarterback is going to flip his hips to make that throw if he's got time, right? When he rolls left, right-armed quarterback, flip your hips so that you can deliver it. And he did, and I was like, oh, that looks different. And so you're starting to see those things. And I don't know. Again, the Niners don't rush the passer very well, so that's probably a big part of it. But I just wanted to see what you thought. About that as well.
I'll also say I think the touchdown pass to Helm might have been his best pure throw of the season. There are some flashes. There are some really good flashes.
I said this on Monday. He is clearly not good at the float ball, like trying to put it in a bucket, like outside shoulder between the defender and the sideline. Like his balls they land outside of the field. They're not even on the field. Like they're not contested catches. They're not even accurate throws. But when he puts a little bit more on it, like that throw to Helm, it needed a lower trajectory, and it needed to be a little bit more on a rope because he had to get there under the safety and over the top of the corner who didn't drop back with Helm. And so that's where he's more accurate, is when he can do a little bit more. I'm going to go at this guy a little bit more than try to go over the top. And that's just not a good throw. He's going to have to work on it, but like it's just never going to be a part of his strengths, I don't think. But that Helm throw was really feeds into what he does well. And they actually layered that concept quite well. And you guys will see that in James Foster's video where they were building to that play on the previous calls. And it looked really nice to actually see look, you got to give the coaching staff, and this is what I want to ask. You got to give the coaching staff credit for the game plan against Cleveland, the offensive line executing that game plan, and then stacking a game plan again where the design runs were very effective. Cam Ward in the first half looked like he belonged on the field and was every bit as good as what the Titans wanted him to be. The defense let them down. Like the defense clearly let them down when the other team doesn't punt one time. So the defense was terrible. But in the first half, that was all looked like growth from week to week. And that's what I want to ask about this Chiefs defense. It's good. It's not great. There are some really good pieces on this defense. But forget about the Mahomes offensive side of it, because now the Titans secondary is completely like they're all on IR at this point. I want to know what the next step looks like. Can they continue it against this Chiefs team at home? And like they can win this game. This is absolutely a winnable game for the Tennessee Titans.
I think the next step is building off of those play action packages they had on the first couple of series and allowing the success of the run game to make you a pass-first team. Because I think that is one of the underrated factors of the Derrick Henry era and so many of these great run-first offenses that we've seen in modern NFL memory is the way they've used play action to actually have a pass-dominant offense because of how successful and integral the run game is. I don't think it can only be Tony Pollard. I don't think that the Titans can have a sustainable run-first offense if it's 25 touches a game for Tony Pollard. But if you start working in Spears and you start working in Chestnut and you start working in Mullings and you really start drawing people into the box, the next step is letting Cam gash you over the top. And he did a little bit, especially early in the game. I think they had a little bit less success with it later in the game.
Yeah.
But early in the game, he had a lot of success doing that. And that's the next step, is to continue that for 4 quarters, like they've been continuing trusting the run for 4 quarters.
Do you remember the throw to Calvin Ridley over the middle of the field in the comeback against Arizona? Not the last drive where he went outside slot fade to Ridley and then down the field to Helm, but it was the drive before that where he hits Calvin Ridley on a fairly deep, skinny post in between the hashes. Yeah. And it's like Calvin makes a really good catch. Like he kind of has to dive for it and kind of twist his body. But that is the throw that I think complements what you're talking about. Yeah. Because again, it takes what he does best. And somebody in the comments says, what elite trait does Cam possess that makes him the number 1 pick? Look, I don't think he is worthy of the number 1 pick. I think he would have been graded behind all 3 quarterbacks this year and all 3 quarterbacks the year before. Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Caleb Williams. That doesn't mean he's not a good player or a starting quarterback or can be a great player. His arm is an elite arm. He has an elite release and an elite arm to get the ball where it needs to go. Is he accurate down the field outside the numbers? No, he's not. But he has an elite arm. I would say that's his elite trait. I also think his mentality as well.
Yeah. What I was going to jump in is I think the elite trait with Cam was watching how he played on 3rd downs and in tight games in the 4th quarter. The elite trait was the way he elevated his game and elevated his teammates' game in the moments that mattered most. And coming out of Will Levis, the juxtaposition there of guy who elevates his game in the moment was the elite trait. Now, is that as important of an elite trait as this guy processes like Drake May, or this guy has the game-breaking speed of Jaden Daniels, or this guy controls a game? I mean, Caleb Williams is better at the elite trait that I'm describing with Cam Ward than Cam Ward is. That's why the Bears have like 6 fourth-quarter comebacks this year. Cam is not a slam dunk number 1 pick every year. We talked about that. For you have about a 4-month backlog of a football show if you guys want to watch us here talk about that over and over again.
Right.
But I do think that was the elite trait they identified.
Yeah, and I look, the other things that aren't maybe not, again, his mentality, confidence, and sort of work ethic aren't necessarily elite traits. That's sort of just expectation for NFL players. But I do think that's what gives him a chance to maximize his good traits or his elite traits of clutchness or arm talent, a quick release. Like there's a lot there to work with. He is very talented. He's very talented. Doesn't mean there's not tons of stuff to work on. Again, 4.5 months of this stuff.
Go back. Hey, Mark, for what it's worth, I'll give you Miami. Go back and watch that Houston game. Levis did not carry the team to a win that game. The Titans won that game. Levis played okay. And Miami, that was really good.
In the 4th quarter, it was really good. Did he throw an interception to a defensive lineman in that game?
Yeah, and that's if we're talking about the 4th quarter, if we're talking about like the moments that matter, Levis did great that Miami game. Yeah. The Houston game, the Titans kind of held on.
Yeah, I agree with that. So again, I want to see, like, it's weird to, like, to your point about describing, like, I'm comfortable in the chaos versus trying to dictate and control the chaos, which is you can't do in the pocket. Like, I'm interested to see what he looks like. Like, does he look? It's very weird to explain. You know, you watch a great point guard in the NBA. Like, I watch a lot of Jalen Brunson because I'm a Knicks fan. Jalen Brunson doesn't look like he's going fast. Right? It doesn't look like he's moving quickly, but he gets to his spot every time because it's like the mental side of the game mixed with a little veteran wisdom and savviness mixed with pure talent but being under control, right? Being under control. I can't remember what the line was, but now I'm going to butcher it because I watched the F1 movie last night. Some of that with my kids, and there's a theory they talk about with like slow is smooth and smooth is fast. It's kind of the line that they use in there when it's talking about pit stops and, you know, hitting your marks on a track or whatever. And I feel like that's what it is. It's being under control and knowing what you're going to do can make you look faster, even though you're probably playing a little bit slower. in reality. So I want to see if that shows up again. Do they stack? Is the running game the same? Is the offensive line and Tony Pollard doing the same things, which they should be able to do? I know Chris Jones is pretty good. Dick Bolton's pretty good. But they should be able to do just as much as they did the last 2 weeks. And I want to see if we actually are seeing a corner being turned or whatever cliche you want to use.
Yeah. And I wrote this the other day. I will bring it up again. In Cam Ward's NFL career, he has one game with a passer rating of 100 or better. That is the same number of games as a Tennessee Titans quarterback as Alex Tanney. That is the same number of games as a Tennessee Titans quarterback as Zach Mettenberger. That is the same number of games as Blaine Gabbert and Mason Rudolph. Will Levis had 5. Jake Locker had 6. Cam Ward has not performed. And for all of the stuff that we're talking about of small sample size, is the Arizona comeback better than Levis's Miami comeback? We need to throw out the best stuff. We need to throw out the worst stuff. Yeah. We need to talk about the middle. Yeah. And Cam Ward's middle has not been better on average than Levis's middle was, than Locker's middle was. Now, both of them made a lot of mistakes, and Locker couldn't stay healthy. And Cam is not making as many game-breaking mistakes, and he has been on the field. But, yes, for those of you who want us to say, I feel like I do this every week now, for those of you who want us to say Cam Ward has not been very good, you're right. He has not been very good. He has been probably the 30th or 31st best starting quarterback in the NFL this year. But they didn't draft him to be good in 2025.
Brian Callahan disagrees. Nick, if you continue with these stats, I'm going to start drinking my shaving lotion. The offensive line has been significantly better of late. That is for sure. All right, quickly here. Sinkers Beverages, everybody, seriously, sign up for the in-crowd. It is a great customer appreciation group. They do not spam your email. They do not send you a bunch of stuff. You're going to get a couple emails a year that are going to tell you when they have really great opportunities to acquire really cool, rare, or great deals, like good stuff. They've got discounts on wine on Tuesdays, and they have their discount wine on the weekends. They have free tastings over there. It is a great place to finish your Christmas shopping, your holiday shopping, whatever it is you celebrate, whatever holiday you celebrate. Please, it is a great place for office gifts, for small gifts for people in your life. It's an awesome job. It's an awesome place to go. And they are award-winning for a reason, because they've been serving the community for over 40 years, and they are the 5-time liquor store of the year. So go check them out. Fantastic stuff right there near Briley Parkway and Ellington Parkway. It's not too far into East. It's very easy to get to. And you can have the booze delivered directly to your house. Search Uber Eats over the weekend and have them ship the booze right to you, man. Right to your house. Super smart, easy way to continue your party. What's going on at your house, Nick?
Tea kettle. That's a tea kettle.
I love it. All right. You did a mock draft as well. Any new strategies that the Tennessean feels like the Titans should deploy in this draft now that we're going to do like mock draft a 13.0, mock draft 27.0, like whatever?
Yeah, I'm not gonna get too deep into it, because I would much rather discuss the college football playoff at this point.
Yeah.
But if I am looking at the Titans, the 4 positions that I would target through the draft this year would be cornerback, wide receiver, pass rusher, and center.
That's why you guys come to this. That's why you guys come to this show, man. Just
I would
earth-shattering analysis. They need a pass rusher, a corner, and a receiver.
And I would throw center in there. It's 4th, but
although Corey Levin might have earned himself a job next year.
Yeah, I think Corey Levin, good player to keep around. I think Oli Udoh, good player to keep around. Yeah. I want to see what Jackson Slater's capable of. I would also say that drafting a developmental center in the 5th round is something I would like to see.
I think an interior offensive lineman is something they need to see that skews center but could play guard if needed.
Yeah.
That's sort of how I think there's absolutely one of those. I was talking to James Foster about this. He's like, I have one graded center that should be drafted. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And my point is that I don't necessarily want to go pay a center who is 20, like Tyler Linderbaum, really good player. I don't want to pay him big money as his career is on a downward trajectory.
Right.
I'm not to say he won't be good for another 2 to 3 years. He very well might be, but I would rather develop somebody at that position.
They just did it with Cushenberry, and it didn't work out. Levin's been better. Would love to see a crossover episode with you guys, Jared Stillman and PK. You guys are awesome. Thanks for the kind words, Derek. We do have PK and Stillman. People are requesting that. That is for sure. We are working on some stuff. But it won't be on where I'm going to be on because I would like to have normal conversations.
I've also pitched with the entire Titans beat that we should have like 3 years from now a stuff we couldn't say about the 2025 Titans episode. Once the statute of limitation on off the record has expired.
Well, that if it's 3 years from now, that means all the coaches, front office, and quarterback aren't here anymore.
Once we have deemed a statute of limitations retired, I would love to have 7 or 8 of us on a round table and just share your favorite thing that you saw or heard.
One of the things I hate the most about being in the media is all the stuff that just bubbles to the top off the record where everyone just knows. Like this whole Sharon Moore thing where everyone in Michigan was like, yeah, we knew this about him for a while. And it's like there's things like that bubble to the top where no one can ever say it out loud, but everyone just knows that it's a thing and that it's all in the back of our minds. And sometimes the public and the fans never even know that it's a thing. And like I hate that it always just comes out immediately after they're gone. I know that's how it has to function. But I hate that it's like, oh, Rand Carthon's gone, and now we can all spill our guts on all the stuff we had on Rand Carthon. Or Sharon Moore's gone, and here, oh, this is what we all knew about Sharon Moore. Like, I know that's how it works. I know it can't flow any other way, but it is what it is. All right, so quickly, the whole entire secondary is on IR.
Yeah,
all the starting corners, and now almost all of the starting safeties, with the exception of Amani Hooker,
who is currently sick,
who have either been traded, are on IR, or I guess are sick. Look, Gardner Minshew has ripped this team apart in the past, which is terrifying. And they do have lots of fast players. So I think the game will be interesting. I just, it does. How much does IR for Femi and IR for Winston? How much does that skew the evaluation of the class? Like Marcus Harris has been better than his draft slot. I think it's safe to say that DK and Iomanner and Helm have been probably slightly better than their draft slot. They certainly are playing above where they should have been playing on a normal football team at this stage of their career. Ward has, I think, been worse than his draft slot for sure. How do you evaluate the draft class? Just a quick sort of like glance through it now that Winston's season is over because he's on IR, can't come back. And Odoladejo doesn't feel like the way they talk about him is like, man, we just hope to get him on a practice field. So,
yeah, I will sum it up by saying I don't think the Titans drafted any All-Pros this year. I think this was special team All-Pro in DK's case. But as these guys develop, I don't think that Helm is going to be a top 5 tight end. I don't think that Iomanner or DK are ever going to develop into number 1 or number 2 receivers. They are probably down the line. Maybe one of them can be a number 2. I don't think either of them will ever be a number 1. Winston probably going to be a really solid player. I don't necessarily know if he's ever going to be a game-breaking safety. Oladejo, we've talked about, huge developmental guy. We will see if he could ever actually develop into being that guy, but it was never really expected he would be great as a rookie. Ward, we shall see. But all of that is to say this feels like a workman-like class. The guys who start shoveling to put the foundation together and the guys who are actually going to be the superstars need to be drafted in the next 2 years. Now it's a bummer that your franchise quarterback is part of the workman-like class and not the franchise superstars class. But that is my evaluation, where I think you got 5 or 6 guys who are going to be genuine contributors for this team for the next 3 to 5 years, which is not something you've always been able to count on with the Titans in recent memory.
No, I agree.
But I don't necessarily see anybody who is going to be game-changing talent at a position that matters.
I think Winston, ironically, might have the most upside at his position. He could be better at his position than almost anybody else in this group could be at their position, but we'll see. Maybe that's confirmation bias on my part. Nick, any secrets you want to accidentally drop about the Titans real quick? LOL.
No.
Jason says the episode with Jared and Nick had major Dude and Walter vibes. I was almost expecting Nick to say, "You're not wrong. You're just an asshole, Walter." Mark says is he really our franchise quarterback? Not sure about that. I think
you've made that clear.
Feels. Yeah, I think Mark in the comments has been very, very clear about his point. Underrated series in the 80s. Ed, real good callback here. Greatest American hero, Quantum Leap. I did watch a lot of Quantum Leap. I will admit that. I watched a ton of Quantum Leap. Is that Scott Bayo. Is that right?
Scott
On that
Bakula.
note, on that note, I'll see myself out. If Cam Ward is the tree you plant, the other rookies are the soil you plant him in. Thank you, Stoney, for continuing the strange analogy. Expecting all pros is too much from Marcus. Just guys that'll be on the team 3 years is a win. That's where the bar has been set from John Robinson's last few draft classes. All right, college football playoffs for 10 minutes, okay?
Okay.
I'm curious how excited you are about Alabama, Oklahoma. Just as a college football fan, it has far less there than the other games do. But I think it could be like the most dramatic, most physical, most like old school football game we're going to see this weekend. And I think it will be very good, very close, and very hard fought on Friday night. I just think it's going to be, two teams with the exact same colors that already played that everybody kind of hates.
I don't know. How much do you pay attention to the post-game win probability charts that Bill Connolly puts out?
I see them on occasion. They mean like, they're at 22%, they're at 90%. Oh, this punt just got blocked. They're down to 18%. That kind of thing.
No, not the in game, the post game. So like after the game, he'll put out something that's like every game this week, based off of what percentage of the time a team that plays this well wins this game.
Yeah, are you going back to the original Oklahoma-Alabama game?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the original Oklahoma-Alabama game, Oklahoma's post-game win probability was like 4%, 4 or 5%. If you play that game 100 times, Oklahoma does not win it 10 times, but Oklahoma won it. Here's the thing. Alabama has played really badly since then. They did not play all that well against Auburn. They did not play at all against Georgia. I do think Oklahoma should have the advantage in this one. I do not think Alabama should be in the college football playoff. I still think Alabama wins the game.
I think they're like carbon copies of each other. Two really great defenses, two really talented quarterbacks, two offenses that cannot run the football. Oklahoma's offensive line's a little bit better at protecting Mateer, and certainly Mateer is more of an athletic guy. Great special teams for Oklahoma, which could be the deciding factor here in the game. Oklahoma's an underdog at home. I like Oklahoma to win the game in more of a like actual right way to win the game as opposed to the one that you talked about. Because Alabama's form, to your point, the last few weeks has been really atrocious. Now, there is a theory floating around that they intentionally rested everybody that was even barely hurt in the Georgia game, and because they knew they were going to get in no matter what. And that's an interesting theory that I think also proves that the conference championship games probably need to go away. But that's neither here nor there. I'm just like, I don't feel anything for this game. I have not since the matchup came out. And I have a feeling we're going to leave the game Friday night thinking, man, that was really good. that was a really exciting, dramatic football game. And we're all going to be hooked as soon as it starts, even if the offenses are questionable. A&M Miami is like all of the things you love about the college football playoff. To me, it is a place that's never been in. It's two teams that have never been in the playoff ever since 2014 started the playoff era. Neither of these teams have ever made it. It's a franchise. It's a program in A&M that's been building to this moment what feels like for 40 years. They are at home. Two quarterbacks who are talented but completely unpredictable most of the time. Really awesome skill players. Tony for Miami is really, really fun. Concepcion and Carver could both be high draft picks. All players that Titans fans should be watching. You got a first-round potential top 5 pick in Ruben Bain for Miami that I think was in your mock as the Titans pick, and that's a guy that going up against a really good A&M offensive line, 100,000 people. Other than the 11 a.m. kickoff, and that Miami is the team that doesn't belong in the playoff, I think it's going to be a great football game, great helmet matchup, traditional helmet matchup. It's got everything, and I hope the game actually delivers based on all those metrics there.
Yeah, it should be a fun one. I think that hot take, Kyle Field is my favorite college football stadium I've ever stepped foot in. I really enjoy the atmosphere at Kyle Field. I love a stadium that sways. I love a stadium where every single person there is on their feet into the game. They play really cool football there. I don't love this game. I don't love this matchup.
Oh, really?
Just in a sense of...
I don't think your take on the stadium is a hot take, by the way.
That's why I had a question mark. Let me put it this way.
I prefer more females in my football stadium, but it's fine.
If this was the Cotton Bowl in a 4-team playoff, if this was just the 7 seed versus the 10 seed playing a New Year's 6 game with no playoff affiliation, I don't think I'd watch this game. I'm watching it because they tell me it's a playoff game and it has championship implications. And that's the insidious part of this playoff thing. You're telling me to watch football that I wouldn't have watched otherwise.
But why would you? So I want to go into your psyche here more. Did I say Tony? Did I say Tony? I meant Corley. Malachi Corley is awesome wide receiver, freshman from Miami.
I thought it was. I thought it was Tony.
I thought it was Tony too. Anyway, why is it that you aren't attracted to the game? Because I do find like there is an element of like I'm very attracted to this game the most of all of them. I am attracted to the off the field storylines in the Tulane Ole Miss game, and I actually think it is going to be much closer than the 35-point spread from week 3 or 4. I am very unattracted to the Alabama-Oklahoma game, but I am acknowledging that I will really enjoy it because once I get started on it, I'll be like, oh, these are good. These are decent teams. Bad offenses, but really good teams.
I'm attracted to greatness, and I don't think either of these teams are great.
Well, that's everybody playing this weekend. Maybe Oregon is great, but otherwise nobody playing this weekend is great.
Yeah, and we don't need to re-legislate why I don't think there should be 12 teams in a college football playoff.
I don't feel like it either.
We don't need to re-legislate it, but I will probably watch as much as I can because I've got family coming into town this weekend and we got a lot of plans and I might miss a lot of college football as a result of it, and I'm fine with that.
You got tea time too, you know, you got to have tea in the afternoon. So
I don't drink caffeine during football season. I don't know if people know that about me. I only drink caffeine.
Some tea has no caffeine in it.
I'm just saying. I think the tea that Becca made was caffeinated.
Oh, okay.
But either way, I am excited that there is meaningful football. But I have been thinking about this a lot lately, and I think that we have made a trade to value the good feeling in the moment, the chase of how enjoyable it is to watch things that are fun when they are fun, over the lasting memory of how good these games were. And I think when we have diluted the product, we will not remember this Texas A&M Miami game, especially if neither of them make it to the final two.
Unless it's great.
The same way that we remembered great games of consequence in the past.
I mean, the regular season is the star of college football. Always has been and always will be. The playoff is an illusion for many things. It is the illusion that people have a chance to win a championship when they don't really. Now, unless Indiana, Ole Miss, or Texas Tech play in the championship game, in which case those three stories do not happen in a previous form of the sport. They don't. The NIL and the portal, those rosters are built in a way with coaches that are adhering to the modern principles of college football, and those three stories do not happen in 1988, 1998, 2008, maybe not even 2018. So I do think that there is some intrigue about those teams if they get to the championship game. Oregon is a little bit built in the same way, but like less so because they have lots of resources and they play. You know, they played in a BCS championship game. They played in a college football championship game. Like they're a great program, modern era. I do think there is some of that, but it's just the illusion of it's like giving, I don't know, like mid-power conference teams or high mid-major teams access to the Sweet 16. Like you're really kind of playing to get to the Sweet 16 and have the moment on the stage, not to actually win on the stage. Again,
to your point, we were talking about at the top of the show. I understand your argument, and I value that your perspective is what your perspective is. I am not at all saying that I do not understand your perspective. I am saying that I personally would not watch this game if there was no playoff affiliation.
Yeah, right. No, I don't watch any of the bowl games now. So if there's something on the line, I am in. If there's not, I am out. So Vandy made a point about Retzlaff and Tulane. I'll give you my quick spiel here. Tulane didn't have its starting left tackle, best offensive lineman, all-conference player, Derek Brown. Jake Retzlaff was playing in a two-quarterback system at the time. He is now the starter. Lane Kiffin was calling plays for the offense, and it's hard to, once you see a team, it's easier to, because Trinidad Chambliss had not started a game, I don't think, until that game, so they had prepared for a different offense with a different quarterback, Austin Simmons. I think there's a lot of reasons, not the least of which is how distracted this team is. It could be galvanized around Pete Golding. My sense is that Pete Golding does not galvanize things, that Pete Golding creates more chaos than you think. And the defense should be fine. I think Tulane plays a much better football game. I think it is close in the fourth quarter. My guess would be a backdoor cover by Ole Miss. But I wouldn't be surprised if Tulane plays a very good football game, and everyone in that stadium is going into this game as puckered up as humanly possible. They are clenched the entire game at Vaught Hemingway Stadium.
Ole Miss by 3 or 4 scores. What's next?
There we go. James Madison loses by 3 or 4 scores. Look, I will channel my inner Lou Holtz, who is not a great person to be around all the time. I worked with him for like 2 or 3 years. He is very, very ornery and very sensitive, very defensive. And the statute of limitations is out. It's been about 10 years, so I can say all the things that I say about Lou Holtz. But he always has a good pithy one-liner on the air. And I, too, Nick, understand and can articulate fully your perspective on all of this. And to quote Lou Holtz, I would agree with you, but then we'd both be wrong. So there's your Lou Holtz for the day. Chiefs on Sunday. Titans win?
I think I picked like 23-20 Chiefs or something like that.
Okay.
I don't know. Okay. It's the Titans could win. They really could.
I think they can too.
I'll pick it when I see it.
I don't know why I think this, but they have not won at home yet, and I think they can do it. This might be the only chance. What they have the Saints, and is the Saints game at home? I can't. Yes. I don't remember.
Yeah, Saints at home, Jags on the road.
There we go. Titans win, says Mark. There you go. Despite dogging out his quarterback the entire show in the comment section.
Despite saying he'd rather have Tyler Shuck.
All right. Okay. Sinkers Beverages. Make sure you go support good local business. Tennessean.com. Make sure you go support good local journalism. And listen to all the other great shows. We have a long-form, like 20, 25-minute conversation about all 4 SEC teams up on the YouTube page right now, so you can get a full breakdown of Alabama from Matt Stahl. I know you know him. You can get a full breakdown from Josh McQuiston of Sooner Scoop around the Sooners. You can get a full breakdown of Neil McCready. Pretty sure you know him as well.
I do.
From Ole Miss, breaking down all things Oxford. And you can get a full breakdown of Texas A&M with David Nuno of TexAgs.com. All of that, those conversations on the podcast app and on the YouTube page at 440 Sports, SEC Football Live. If you want more college football talk going into the weekend, I'm going to have a long sit. I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to count my chickens here. We are scheduled to have a long conversation with Stephen Godfrey on Lamestream Sports this week. We're going to record that later this afternoon. That will be exclusively about the most dramatic coaching carousel I've ever seen. So that will be very interesting for you college football fans if he decides to show up on time. We'll see. Love Godfrey. All right. For Nick, I'm Braden. Thanks for listening. Thanks to all of you guys in the comments. Appreciate all of you. Go Titans, of course, on Sunday. Enjoy the weekend. Happy holidays. PK and I are back on Monday. Nick and I are off next week. So happy holidays to everybody. Merry Christmas to you, Nick, and to your family and everybody out there who celebrates whatever it is you celebrate. We appreciate you guys. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next time.